That's first and foremost, and I know we're probably going to hear that word a lot in this interview, so the word of the day is relationship. And even though you may be better than that DJ that's in there spinning, but if he has a longer standing relationship with this person and you just came in off the street, he'll keep that job.
You are now listening to the BV Mobile Apps Podcast. The show is designed to help you grow your mobile app audience and get advice from experts in your industry. Now, here's your host, Sean Garvey.
Joining with us right here on the BV Mobile Apps Podcast, we have another great interview by some professional DJs that we have on the line. I don't only just have one DJ, I have two DJs. And today's theme is called Resource for DJs in Atlanta. We have so many DJs than ever before in Atlanta, and I'm just so glad to have the one and only Fleet DJs on the telephone line right here on the BV Mobile Apps Podcast. Joining with us, we have DJ Dasz. He's a Fleet DJ Georgia assistant manager, and currently he has several mix shows around the country, FM to internet radio. He's also the co-owner of Fleet Georgia Radio. We're going to talk about that and more. And he also runs his own brand, DMG Entertainment, which services and provides DJs and lighting services for different events around the city and state. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Dasz. How you doing, DJ Dasz? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show, bro.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us to give us some important information. And also joining with us on the BV Mobile Apps Podcast, we have another gentleman from the Fleet DJs, born and raised in the ATL, my hometown. And he has been doing a whole lot in the industry. He has organized several award shows, fashion shows, many important events. He DJs everything from clubs and house parties. And we're going to learn more about this professional and successful DJ who is also a part of Fleet DJ Radio and of course, the iconic Fleet DJs, DJ FDS on the line. How you doing, DJ FDS?
Sean, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. And once again, fellas, thank you all for taking the time to join us on the BV Mobile Apps Podcast as we talk about resource for DJs in Atlanta. And like I said just a few moments ago, we have so many DJs than ever before, not just only here in Atlanta, even though the focus is on DJs here in Atlanta, but around the world. And it stems from all ages. Like even now I'm on social media all the time, and I see even kids as old as 6 years old behind the turntables DJing.
Right.
And it's become even international over the years, and it just became such a big widespread. But for you two gentlemen to do what you do, let's go ahead and talk about the genesis of how Fleet DJs came about, and how did you guys get started in the DJ game? Starting with DJ Dasz.
Okay. Well, Fleet was created by our CEO, that's Classic CEO, some years ago. And he built the brand up to basically what it is now. You know what I'm saying? We got, over 300 DJs, whether it's DJs, models, producers, graphic artists. We kind of dabble in everything around the world. I mean, we've even reached out to international status. That's why we call Fleet Worldwide. We got some DJs in Africa. I think we hit Japan as well. So it's a pretty big brand, man. We try to cover all entertainment bases.
Same question for DJ FDS. You want to elaborate more on that question?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what he said, definitely started by the CEO, Classic. It's been around for a while, and it's ever growing. Every day we're expanding and looking for new opportunities and new DJs and things of that nature. I myself became a Fleet DJ around it's about 2011 when I first got into the Fleet DJs, and been going strong ever since. And that actually was before it was sectioned off by states like how we had to do it now. It wasn't as many members back then, but now, as you can see, we've grown to the point where we have to start separating things and delegating, because it's just too much, for one man to handle. But yeah, it's been a great ride.
Okay, I got an awesome question for you guys. Like Fleet DJs, what is it to you? Is it a movement? Is it an organization? Or is it a family. Let's start with you, DJ FDS. What is Fleet DJs? What do they mean to you?
First and foremost, Fleet DJs is a family. You know, if you want to get literal, it is an organization, you know, and it is a movement. But first and foremost, we're a family unit. We treat each other like brothers and sisters. And I think that's the difference in the coalition that we have with Fleet. And a lot of people that want to join Fleet join on that premise alone because they understand that we operate differently than most other coalitions out here. It's not always just business. Like we talk on a daily basis. You know, we check in on each other's well-being. So it's a real tight-knit situation.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with everything FDS said. I mean, one of the things, I've been a Fleet DJ only for a couple of years. I've been DJing longer than that, but I was blessed to be given the opportunity to become a Fleet DJ. And one of the things that during my entrance interview, you know, that they said was family. I've tried to get into I've been offered to get into other DJ coalitions, but, you know, a lot of DJ coalitions basically, you know, only want you in if you have something to totally push their brand. And if you stop having those things, if you stop doing events or stop doing, you know, shows for a little while, then pretty much you're out. Fleet is not like that. We do care about what's going on with you family-wise, business-wise, and everything, and what's going on with your movement. It's also an opportunity to get your brand pushed as well as the Fleet brand. I mean, like FDS said, we do check up on each other. We call each other. I talk to FDS dang near every day. And we talk about things, bounce different ideas. I talk, you know, to other Fleet DJs around the country as well on a regular basis. And we try to make sure that everybody's good and everybody's, you know, business is good. And we all try to cross-promote and try to grow as a whole as well as an individual.
So many DJs to name in Atlanta. The first three people that come to my mind, Jermaine Dupri, Greg Street, DJ Nabs, they all made a name for themselves in Atlanta as DJs for radio stations, for parties, clubs, the nightlife, things of that nature. When it comes to DJs, legendary, well-known DJs here from Atlanta, who are some of the people that come to your mind, starting with DJ Dasz? Who are some of the people that come to your mind that you can say, you know, this particular DJ from Atlanta or in Atlanta has influenced me into where I am at today? Who are some of the people that come to your mind, DJ Dasz?
Oh, man. Oh, well, I mean, my first and foremost would be, you know, DJ Jelly. Yeah, you know, yeah. DJ Monte, you know what I'm saying, MC Assault, like all those guys, DJ Smurf. You know what I'm saying? Like all those guys, you know, matter of fact, I think DJ Smurf was like one of the first DJs that I really heard back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Mr. Collie Park now, but yeah, those guys, DJ Nabs, I mean, all those guys were if you ask me first, the DJ that come to mind when you say Atlanta, those will be my choices.
What about you? Let's say you FDS.
Yeah, he took. It's funny, I know we both from Atlanta, so and me and Dasz got the same taste, and we on the same wavelength about a lot of things. So, yeah, the DJs that he named pretty much will be the same DJs that come to mind when I think of Atlanta DJs, man. Guys who paved the way and continue to, open doors for the rest of us.
Shout out to DJ Toon, by the way. We can't forget DJ Toon.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Like, you know, and that's the thing. It's a lot of DJs, a lot of good, great DJs that came out of Atlanta, man. So, you know, we could go down the whole list. Yeah. It's going to take us some time.
Yeah, it's going to take us the entire podcast.
Yeah.
So for a DJ out of Atlanta starting out, that person is starting out doing just small parties, kid parties or wedding events and things of that nature. Why is it so important for a up and coming DJ to expand his or her horizons outside of just doing small parties and wedding events and going out there and participating in venues of the extravagant events to make a name for themselves? Why is that very important?
It helps expand the brand because, you know, you can do the parties and the birthday parties and the weddings and things of that nature. That's definitely good to have on your resume, to be able to do those types of events. But then your outreach, I feel, you know what I'm saying, from that event may be somewhat limited as opposed to doing like a venue or an event or a festival or something like that where your reach and your brand can reach a lot more people, you know, and you can network with a lot more like-minded individuals or people in the industry. So if at all possible, you know, you want to take advantage of those types of situations, especially if you're trying to do this on a professional level and make a career out of it, you need to be able to reach out and tap into different markets and meet different people just to grow.
How important is it to grow your opportunities, to expand your horizons outside of just doing small parties and wedding events?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you know, for now, I totally agree with what FDS said. I mean, you definitely want to, I think in the industry period, you want to make sure you have good relationships. So the parties are cool, the clubs are cool, but, you know, eventually, I don't know how, you know, depending on your game plan and what you want to do, you know, with your career, eventually that's going to get tired. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get old. So you have to have, you know, other things that you dabble into in the industry or as far as DJing. I mean, you know, you have to know how to DJ different events, different festivals. You know what I'm saying? I've been blessed enough to DJ, you know, the Sweet Auburn Festival for the last 3 years. And it's a total different experience than I would get DJing at a club or at someone's event. So you have to make sure that you touch each aspect so that you are able to be versatile, you know what I'm saying? And create those relationships so you'll have big opportunities and longer opportunities in the future.
You spoke on something you just said a few moments ago, DJ Dasz. You performed at the Sweet Auburn Festival. Tell us, what was a teachable moment as a DJ, as a professional DJ like yourself? What was one teachable moment that you experienced while performing at the Sweet Auburn Festival? Because those kind of events, those are like a very big deal type of events.
Yeah, it was a few of them. I'm trying to think of which one would be more beneficial. Well, one, you just have to make sure that you're able to read the crowd. I think last year I was on the main stage. It was a V103 stage one day. It was the 107.9 the next day. So I did both of those days, and it's different crowds. So you have to make sure that you understand the crowd that you're playing to. A lot of DJs, in my opinion, will play what they're good at. But, you know, at times during the day, I had to play gospel music. I had to get the crowd, you know, I even got hundreds of people line dancing, you know what I'm saying? So, and they had a great time. So you have to know your crowd that you're playing to, and you have to be able to be personable. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to get the people, make the people have a good time, no matter what's going on with you at the time. And if I can piggyback off that, you have to always have a backup plan too.
Yes.
Because nothing went like it was supposed to go that weekend. But hey, we had a backup plan and we was all good.
Now, I want to ask you this question. It's kind of in the same vein as the question I just asked DJ Dasz about teachable moments for DJ FDS, because you've been successful at promoting and DJing local parties since the early 2000s, and you've been around. You've done this throughout most of your life. But if you had to go back and look at, dang, I should have done this differently, or this mistake right here is something that I really, really got to learn from. Like, if you had to go back in time, DJ FDS, what was one thing that you could have changed or you could have improved or do better as a DJ?
I probably would have to say it would probably have to do with, relationship-wise with different people, because these events that we were putting on, like the fashion shows and things like that, and the award shows, and these, we did a whole lot of parties and stuff like that. Like, we did a lot of that, 99% of that on our own, you know what I'm saying? So I know it would have been a lot easier road, and we probably could have facilitated some more things and had a lot less headache if we had, built some early on relationships when we were starting out, and, we were able to lean on people and they could have leaned on us. And not to say that events weren't successful, they were. It was just a lot more work when you're trying to do everything in-house. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. So if somebody has a lane that they're in, it's a lot easier to delegate something to that person and get that done, as opposed to you trying to learn it, figure it out, and implement it in what you already have on your plate. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely say it'll be, delegation and having relationships with people and using those relationships, leveraging those situations to make whatever you have greater. That's definitely one thing. It probably would have saved me a lot of headaches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How beneficial in today's society, in today's world of everything that we do that are entertainment based, how beneficial is it now to still have business cards? When you talk about building relationships with people, you interacting with people, you're talking to people, and they want to work with you or collaborate with you on a special project or something extravagant. Like, how beneficial is it to still have business cards in the 21st century?
Business cards?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. You say business cards?
Okay. The new business cards is your IG.
It's social media.
To me personally, because I will tell people that, if I get business cards, the first thing I do is I either take a picture of it or I'll just put the number in my phone and I will give it back to them. Because I know personally myself, I'm going to lose it, or I'll ask them their social media. That's what a lot of people with me, if they want to hire me, if they want me to do, a concert party or whatever, they'll say, "What's your IG?" And they'll get in touch with me through that. Now, do I like that? Not necessarily. But that's just the way of the times. The times is, what's your IG? What's your Twitter? What's your TikTok? Which I'm screwed on that because I don't have TikTok or Snapchat. But I just think the new business card is your social media handle.
That's Dad's perspective. Now, what about you, FDS? Care to retort, or do you feel the same way, or do you feel opposite?
I feel the same way, but I still think there is a small place left in the world for business cards. I don't think people use them so much as on the face-to-face. Like, if I was to run into you, just like Dash said, people are more likely to get your IG or your Twitter before they take that business card, or just log your number in their phone right then and there. But they could be a useful tool for if you wanted to leave them certain places you may not frequent as much. If you want to lay them on the table, if they got those little business boards where you can pin a few cards to a business board, or gas stations or things of that nature. Or you may be even in a time crunch where I can't really chop it up with you that heavy and exchange social media. All that information may be on the card, so that's something quick where you can just, and like your dad said, if they want to keep it, they can, or if they want to just take the info off of there and use it. So I still think there's a small place, but the way things are headed now, everything is going so digital. That's why they even have the business cards with the QR codes on them. All you do is scan the back of the card, and I get everything about you. And I don't even need the card anymore at that point. So it's definitely going digital, but there's a just time and a place for a business card. Yeah, I agree with that totally.
Okay. All right. So business cards over social media over business cards. You still have to have those kind of resources in order to build relationships with people in and out of the industry if you're trying to get to the next level. Definitely got it. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. For those who are just tuning into the BV Mobile Apps podcast, we are talking to Fleet DJs own DJ Dasz and DJ FDS on the telephone line, Fleet DJs Georgia and Fleet Georgia Radio. We're going to talk a little bit about Fleet Georgia Radio in just a few moments on the BV Mobile Apps podcast. But today we are talking about resource for DJs in Atlanta. When you come to Atlanta, for all of my out-of-towners out there, if you come to Atlanta, you're going to see a lot of venues, a lot of clubs, a lot of different things going on, festivals, events, etc., etc. And it's a stumping playground for so many DJs to come in and showcase their skills. Let's talk about venues for a moment. How should one DJ find a venue to perform at? Let's say you, DJ Dasz.
Here in Atlanta, man, it is really hard to get to, as far as clubs. You have to build, I said something earlier about relationships. You have to build relationships with people here in Atlanta, definitely. There are a lot of clubs in Atlanta, and there are a lot of DJs. And the thing about club owners, and I'm only speaking on Atlanta and my experience, it's about relationships. They're not going to push the DJ aside that they have a relationship with to allow you to come in there and spin. You have to make sure that you build those relationships. You visit the spot every once in a while and talk to the promoters and talk to the owners and the people. And then they will give you, eventually you guys build that relationship, but just support them. You know what I'm saying? Support goes a long way. And once they see you doing that, they're more apt to giving you an opportunity to spin in their venue.
That's definitely, that's first and foremost. And I know we're probably going to hear that word a lot in this interview. So the word of the day is relationships.
Definitely.
You just got to do that, especially with the clubs, because like you said, it's a lot of cats who, and even though you may be better than that DJ that's in there spinning, but if he has a longer standing relationship with this person and you just came in off the street, he'll keep that job. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah. I remember when I was first getting into clubs out here, the first club I actually landed a gig at was a club called Scores in Decatur, Georgia.
Yep.
And I had to fight for that job. Like, literally had to fight. I was going in there every night, speaking with the DJ, just being a patron in this place, spending money. Like Dan said, talking with the owners and the managers, and, eventually I got my shot where an opportunity, a slot came over. I just one of the DJs couldn't make it that night. So the manager called me and was like, look, could I come in? It was short notice, but, I dropped everything. I'm on the way. So I went up there and I rocked it, and I was a staple at Scores until they closed it down. I actually DJ'd the last party in Scores, the last opening night of Scores. So I was in there for a few years. But that's just something you got to do. It's a grind out here like everything else. You got to, build those relationships and also build your own brand, because you don't want to just come in as a guy who plays music. You know what I'm saying? Yep. You want to be able to say you got something behind that they could use, because it's a partnership when you're a DJ in a club. Like, it's the club, right, and then it's you. So if you attract a crowd, and that name of that club may attract the crowd, then you can guarantee you'll have people in that club. Yeah. If somebody just opened the club and you're just some guy who plays music, it's not going to be really anybody in there, because nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what this club is or what it's about. So, it's things you want to set up that foundation before you really want to get out into that circuit. Because once you get out there, like I say, it's definitely a grind to stay relevant and stay on.
Yeah,
most definitely. And if I can piggyback a little bit off of that,
sure.
You also want to make sure that, DJs, and I'm going to speak a little bit about this, and I know a lot of DJs who might not agree with me, and I know a lot who will, but you have to make sure that you're thinking of the whole as a DJ. And what I'm saying that is, you go into these clubs and, people offer to pay you $100 for 5 hours. You take it to get the job, but man, that's killing it for every other DJ that comes behind you, because they know they can pay that DJ $100. There's no way, clubs make thousands of dollars a night. You know what I'm saying? And for you to get $100 for 5 hours of work is not the move. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is the club owners they know that that's what they can pay a DJ. And you a good DJ, and as FDS said, you might be 10 times better than that DJ, and they want to give you an opportunity. But you say, hey, man, you got to pay me $250, $300 because I got 100,000 followers. I can bring people in, yada, yada, yada. The club owner like, nah, bro, I'm cool. I'm doing my thing. With this guy, I can pay $100. And I'm good. I'm not going to give you the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that you're thinking of the culture, man. You can't undercut, and you can't hurt. You shouldn't want to hurt it for your brothers and sisters that are in the game with you. You should want everybody to come up. And there are other clubs that do auditions as well. If you want to get in the club, sometimes the relationship don't matter. And that's in the cases where they have DJ auditions, and you go to the audition and you just do your best. And then you build a relationship from there. But that's just a point I wanted to bring out.
Oh, sure.
Dasz saying it's a lot of YouTube DJs out there, man.
Oh, yes, sir.
they come into the club and they play their Pandora playlist, and like you said, charge them $100 a night. That messes it up for somebody who spent years perfecting their craft and wants to get paid what they worth. To actually come in here and rock a crowd and make your establishment flourish. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Definitely, it's a lot of compounding factors that go inside of, especially out here in Atlanta, man. Too many clubs, like you said, there's too many DJs. So at this point, your best bet is to build your brand, knock out some of those parties, house parties, whatever you got to do, get notoriety out here, and then, just start shooting your shot where you can. You ain't always going to win, you ain't always going to hit the basket, but at least shoot your shot and see where you land. There is somebody who will take you in and hire you for your service. You gotta keep your head down. For what you work, exactly.
Yeah, and let me take a moment to respond to that with a question, because I'm so glad that you said that, especially you, FDS, when you mentioned about performing at Scores in Decatur, because I do remember places like Scores. I even remember Club 559. And a few other clubs back in the day that brought in a lot of traffic, a lot of people. And it was because it was definitely the DJs that helped make it happen. And so now fast forward to now in Atlanta with more DJs and more people performing at different night spots, at different clubs and stuff. Is it really that competitive now in Atlanta? With DJs going up against another DJ for this particular venue or this particular spot? Is it very competitive now, or even more competitive than how it was 20, 25 years ago?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely. Oh, no, I was just going to say it's definitely competitive. You got to think, some of these venues that are out here, a lot of these venues are open 5 or 7 days a week. And certain venues only want DJs on certain nights, so obviously the weekend would be the hot spots. They probably hit a Thursday through Sunday or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I've even ran into to an instance where I was trying to do business with a particular venue, and they weren't willing to pay me what I was worth. They would much rather just stream some music off of, literally, and this is no lie, one of the employees' iPhone was hooked up to the sound system in the closet. And, like, they needed a DJ. And, I came in, I did my thing. I had maybe, my name was ringing a few bells, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, nah, that's too rich for our blood. And it really wasn't, because I know they bringing in money. But it be like that sometimes, man, So it's definitely competitive, because it's not like every club every night is using a different DJ. So it's not as many openings, you know what I'm saying? And some of the clubs that do have openings may only want to pay you $100 for that night. And you may not want to do that. The clubs where you want to be is going to pay you, is going to help you further your brand. They probably booked up with every DJ in the city trying to get in there.
If to piggyback off of that, as far as being competitive, man, you gotta you got to think 25 years ago. I've been doing music for a long time, from production to artist stuff. I mean, and 25 years ago, I remember in my first studio, I couldn't afford anything. So I had to have a certain amount of money to get equipment and stuff like that. So that took a little longer, and that made me become more serious about what I was doing, because I knew I had to invest this money. Fast forward to now, from the DJ production perspective, now you have DJ controllers now that cost $50. And that means that there are a million more people that can get access to it. And so anybody that can get a little mini controller that I carry around as my backup to my backup, that you can just hit buttons on, they have access to that. And they can get that and call themselves a DJ. A lot of club owners and event people do not do their research, and they do not know what a good DJ is. I've lost gigs that I already had booked to people that didn't want to pay me my $500 because their friend was like, "Oh man, I got a DJ app on my phone, and you just paid me $50." Well, you done already paid me a deposit, so they were willing to lose their deposit just so they could pay, $200 instead of paying me $500. They can pay me the $150 deposit and get the other guy $50, and he can just hit a button on his iPhone and then hit another button and it'll go to another song. So yes, it is very competitive because there are more people out here. The technology is available to more people, and people don't do their research as far as what they're getting. You know what I'm saying? You're actually getting a $50 DJ. That $50 DJ does not know what to do if something breaks. The $50 DJ does not have a backup system in his car. He does not have a backup laptop, a backup controller, or turntables. He does not know how he's downloading stuff off of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And they just care about that the music is being played in their facility.
Right.
And people buying drinks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and people don't think about that when they hire a DJ. And I be like, come on, people, we are living in a inflation era right now where everything is so expensive, but yet at the same time, it's a lot of work and labor and effort that DJs have to put into it. It's no different from a job where you are working on people's cars. If you are a mechanic and you're working on somebody's car, it's a lot of work and effort and labor put into it. But it's also an art. It's also an art form. It's also one's way of showing how passionate they are about continuing the culture of DJing, music, hip hop, and things of that sort. But what I want to do now is transition over to talking about promoters. How can a DJ spot or scout out a reliable, accredited promoter versus a janky promoter? How can one do that? Starting with DJ Dasz. let's take that question over to DJ Dasz.
This ought to be good.
Yeah, without trying to offend people, I don't know, man. I mean, promoters, man. Look, I'm gonna speak in general sense. Some promoters are very respectful of the DJs because they know that the DJs, if it wasn't for the DJs, they wouldn't have work. I mean, I'm sorry. But a lot of promoters, what they are in for is money. So there are certain signs you have to look for. If you know that the promoter is coming in there and he's making 10 grand off the door, and he only wants to pay you $150 or $200, and that's probably not a promoter that is, in your best interest to partner up with. A lot of promoters, I work with promoters that have been great promoters, and they like, man, look, just tell me what you want, and I'll get it for you. And then those are the promoters that you want to keep, because they're not all about keeping the bag for themselves. You know what I'm saying? As far as scouting out good promoters, man, I don't know. I mean, like I said, like FDS said, the word of the day is relationship. And a lot of promoters, if you build that relationship with them, and when I mean relationship, I mean not just going to see them at the club. You guys build a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Y'all going out, to eat, you're going out doing events. Invite them to your event. You know what I'm saying? Make sure they tab is taken care of. This and that. All that stuff goes a long way. And period. I mean, we had an interview. We interviewed Drumboy last night, and that was one of the things that he said. I mean, the question was asked, how do you pick your production squad? And he just point blank said, look, they people I rock with on the outside of music. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can't rock with you outside of music, then I'm not dealing with you. It doesn't matter how good of a producer you are. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's kind of the same thing, man. You got to just build that relationship and build that trust.
That's pretty much it right there, man.
Yeah.
There is gonna be some janky promoters out here. You'll run into them. That's a part of the journey. You just got to use your better judgment. If you're looking for high-profile events and high-profile venues, the relationship aspect will come in a lot more heavier. There's promoters that pop up every day, just like there's a DJ every day. Everybody wants to promote parties and clubs or whatever. So you may take on opportunities, against your better judgment, just to try to get some work or have a gig or get your name out or make a few dollars. It don't always work out like that. I remember one time back in the day, there's no lie, somebody tried to pay me in Coronas because they didn't make no money. I lie to you not. I lie to you not. Like, at the end of the night, I was up there 5 hours or so, and it wasn't a heavy crowd, but towards the end of the night, I'm like, all right, cool, we wrapping up. Ain't nobody in here. Let's go ahead and count the cheese. Nah, man, we ain't had nobody come in there like that today. It was like, I get you some chicken wings or some beers or something for you, give you some gas money.
Oh, wow.
So, you'll run into things like that along your journey, man. Everything ain't going to be a win, but you learn as you go. If you ever encounter that, don't go back again. I don't care how big they say the next party is and how great it is. If they ain't putting that 500 in your hand today, then don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Just, you scrape your knee along the way, but you get up and you keep moving.
Now go ahead, DJ Dasz.
Yeah, I was gonna say just real quick, if you do decide to deal with them again, which I wouldn't, you make them pay you up front, everything.
Yeah, whole thing, everything.
Yeah, I was just going to say another thing, too, is references. Can someone, a DJ, ask for references on a good promoter, whether it's putting it out there on social media or when you build relationships, keyword relationships with people, and ask the question, hey, are there any good promoters out there that you can recommend me to? Would that be a good avenue to take for a DJ?
Yeah, it kind of gets the water gets a little murky because everybody's opinion of a good promoter is different. Yep, there's some promoters out here that in Atlanta, man. When you hear their name, the party is gonna go off. You know what I'm saying? And there's some who you probably never heard of in your life. So if it's somebody you haven't heard of and you ain't seen nothing on them, like, again, this is the digital era, so you can fact check and resource anybody. Now, if you get the name, you can look them up and see what they're really about. Now, after that, I think if you want to ask who, but I don't know. That's a little. What you say, Dasz?
I think the way I would go with that is, like you said, it's a digital age, and you can kind of do your research as well as doing it. Going to a couple of their events. And then I think what I would do to take it a step further is talk to a DJ that's worked with them. I mean, I've asked questions to other DJs and they'll tell me, yeah, I work with them, but they not really, I wouldn't mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Or someone be like, yeah, man, they great. They give me this, that, this, and that. So you just have to, look up what they've done and not only do it digitally, actually go to a spot that they're promoting, see how it is, see how the atmosphere is, chop it up with them, talk to them, and then maybe talk to some people who have worked with them. If you can, if there's a DJ there spending that night, you know, maybe you can talk to him and say, hey man, how does this promoter work for it? And you know what I'm saying? They might tell you. Some of them probably won't because they don't want you to get the work that they can get. But I mean, you can ask, or ask the restaurant owner. I know a lot of people that they get to know the restaurant owner, and they ask the restaurant owner. I mean, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
They don't have no. Yeah, they don't have no. They don't have nothing to lose. I mean, they, you know, they'll tell you. If they still using them, then they'll probably have good things to say about them.
Yeah, yeah. Now, we spoke about digital. You guys just said it in the digital era of DJing. Of course, we see it all the time with DJs, even more than ever before on IG, seeing DJs perform live on their Instagram pages and stuff. Especially in the COVID-19 pandemic era that we're in. Question for both of you guys, DJ Dasz and DJ FDS on the BV Mobile Apps podcast with Sean Garvey. Question is that how can a DJ survive in a COVID-19 pandemic and still cater to their audiences, still cater to their business, and still make money? How can one survive with the resources that they have? Because right now, it seems like the resources that they only have now is social media, the internet, streaming platforms to get themselves out there. But how can they survive in a COVID-19 pandemic with those resources? Let's say you, FDS.
That's a great question, because not only as an organization, Fleet DJs, but Fleet DJs Georgia as a whole, and our little section of the map, we are currently treading those waters now. It's a little different, obviously, but things that you just said, like social media, the streaming, going live, I think things like that help because people can still reach you, and if you have a core following of people that like to listen to you go to work, then they can still get that vibe off of a live. You know, you could do mixtapes, or you could do anything right now digitally, because with COVID, you know, a lot of in-person things, they're just not starting to open some things back up. And even with that, being that it's so iffy, I think, on how long this thing may stay open, I think that a lot of these promoters and clubs are going to go for their go-to guys that they have these keyword relationships with, who they know they can call up and do these gigs. So definitely staying active as much as you can socially, because it's free to put content out. If you just stay consistent with putting out content, I think you'll be able to keep your name in the running and still be able to come out on the other side of this thing winning.
And let's say you DJ Dasz, as a DJ, what other information or other insight and advice can you give to DJs still trying to survive COVID-19 pandemic, still trying to make this money out here as a DJ? What advice can you give to DJs out here, especially the ones in Atlanta?
Well, first advice I want to say is just be careful. You know, I've unfortunately lost a few people in the industry to COVID. You know, so we want to make sure you're careful, first of all. I know that we have, like some DJs, that is their bread and butter. I mean, they don't do anything else but DJ at clubs, DJ at parties. So you got to make sure you're safe if you're going to do that. We've all lost money. You know, I've you know, all of my events actually, you know, and the stuff that I was doing got canceled, you know, in the beginning of the year, except for one. You know what I'm saying? So just be real selective on the things that you take. You know, I do, you know, now I would do an outside event or something where I can control the traffic. You know, I'm not, you know, personally right now, I'm not into going into clubs right now, just because of the things that have happened in my circle. But if you are going to do that, you know, just try to make sure that you're in a safe distance, a safe area. Make sure people are not in the DJ booth with you. Now, that's for that little bit. But as far as, you know, doing other things, man, we got to just make sure it should push all of us to be step out of our comfort zone and to look at different ways to make income. I mean, I think COVID for everybody, and not only DJs, has made us think outside the box and think about, hey, what if the world shut down right now? How am I going to make money? What if I can't go to my building? How am I going to make money? So the virtual world has been a big part in doing it. I mean, we know people having Zoom parties. You can still get paid for Zoom parties. You have people that's doing all kind of things on streaming. I mean, we personally have a platform where we do our Fleet DJs Georgia Saturday Night Live. That people can chime into. They can invite people over. It's on your TV screen, and guess what? You get 4 live DJs, like for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how we've been trying to keep our name out of there. Try to get in the radio. I do a lot of radio. Try to get in the radio to keep yourself busy and to get your name out there.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And good segue also to DJs and radio stations, a very, very beautiful relationship. A man's best friend, radio stations. Sure. Also to make your name known in that particular arena. And nowadays what I notice too is that radio stations, whether it's terrestrial, FM, or internet, or even satellite, they are asking for DJs to submit their mixes. And so how can one DJ submit their mix to an internet radio station like yours, like Fleet Georgia Radio, and just internet radio stations in general? What is the process like for a DJ to submit their mixes as another way of them submitting their mixes to a accredited resource? Let's say you, DJ FDS.
First things first, I'd like to say that you need to make sure that the mix that you are sending is quality material. So whether you have to practice that mix a few times before you actually put it on wax and send it in, you definitely want to do that. That's a disclaimer. But the process is pretty smooth within itself. I think you got to really just be in tune with what's going on, and you submit good content to different radio stations. Internet radio stations, is a lot of them out there, so you should be able to definitely land some slots and some blocks with those types of radio stations. FM maybe a little more tricky to navigate, and I know DJ Dasz is like our resident radio guru, man. He's on a lot more stations than him, so I lean on him for more insight and things like this. So, right. Dasz, if you want to piggyback off of that.
Yeah. So the process, man, and in relation, we should have created a drinking game or something for this word, but the process is relationships, man. I got, major radio stations in the city that I've actually talked to the program directors and stuff like that, and they have actually asked me to submit my stuff. That might have been 2 years ago, that might have been a year ago, but it depends on the station. You have to build a relationship with. They have to see that you want it, because you got to realize that every major station has people wanting to be on their station. So they go through hundreds, if not thousands, of people submitting stuff to them every week, every day. So as far as the major stuff, once again, relationship. Internet stuff, once again, relationship. You have to make sure you have a good relationship. Like FDS said, you have to make sure that you have quality content. I have about 12 to 15 mix shows a week. And some of those I had to audition for. You know what I'm saying? So just depends on the process. You have to audition for them. I'm gonna tell you, if you want to get on Fleet GA Radio, you're gonna have to audition. We don't just let everybody on. And you also have to know your audience too. You also have to, know what is a radio song, what is a mixtape song. Is the show you're auditioning for, is it more club a club night show, or is it more, traffic mix show? Is it more daytime mix show? You have to know what you're trying to submit the mix for and do your research on the station as well. But as far as that, man, I just, a lot of my radio shows I've gotten by just emailing them and just, giving them a little bio, introducing myself and just letting them know who I am and giving them samples and make sure you have your business together. You know what I'm saying? And they hit me back and they like my presentation. And so you have to make sure you come as a businessman first. The problem with a lot of people, as far as DJs, we're in the hip-hop industry, most of us. So we're in the club life, most of us. So we don't know how to conduct business. We just want to come and talk to people just like you talking to your homeboy at the club. But you got to realize that these radio people are business people. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. The program directors, the DJ that spin might be a person you can talk to like that. But the program director, man, they know what's hot. They want to know how to grow the radio station. They don't want all the, the bull, the slang talk and stuff like that. So you come at them like you presenting yourself, to a corporation, because that's really what you're doing, whether it's internet or major.
Okay.
That's just like almost a rule of thumb. You wanna move like that every day.
Yep.
You should be able to navigate different circles, man, out here. So you never know who you run across, and you never want to be unprepared. So stack you some mixes up in your catalog, 15-minute mix, 20-minute, 30-minute mix, some hour mixes. So that way, like you said, you submit that application, you can shoot them that 15-minute mix you did last week. It's clean, and it showcases your skills, and that's enough for them to gauge on if they want to invite you onto their situation or not.
Right. You all have made some very great points during the duration of this podcast, and we really appreciate it. We only got a little bit of time left. Let's go back just a quick second on social media, Facebook groups, IG groups, or even Twitter groups that one DJ can put himself or herself out there and connect with other DJs. What are those groups? Are there any available? And if so, what are those groups on Facebook, Twitter, and IG for upcoming DJs from Atlanta to be a part of?
Fleet DJs.
Yep. Fleet DJs. You can Fleet DJs Georgia specifically if you want to be in Georgia. But man, I guess advice I would give to people is, there are a lot of groups. I belong to a couple of them. To be honest with you, I don't really participate in them. But you got to find DJs that have a like mindset as you do. Fleet. You can apply on fleetdjs.com to be a part of Fleet. Do your research first, because you got to make sure you're ready to do that. But I would say, man, get in a coalition, DJ coalition that fits you, fits your personality, fits where you want to go and where to move. I think that's the best thing for a DJ to do, because I can tell you right now, since I've been in Fleet, man, I've grown tremendously just by the circle of people that I'm around, whether it's FDS, whether it's DJ Chuck, Ease, Tony Stone here in Georgia, not to name, I can't name everybody, or if it's, Double XL in the Midwest, DJ Prestige, just different Fleet DJs that have given me knowledge that I didn't know before, you know what I'm saying? So these are like-minded individuals that I can bounce things off of and that I can rely on to tell me, man, you suck today, or you did a great job today, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to get around people who just care about you and just are able to be on the same mind or wavelength as you are.
Yeah.
Practice your craft, man. Practice your craft. Step outside of your comfort zone as much as possible, playing different genres of music. And that's just outside of the groups, because a group could be helpful, but it's not a necessity I think if you hone your skills and you sharpen your blade, because if you get a lot of input, sometimes it can knock you off your square. So if you stick true to what you know and you sharpen that blade the way you know how, and then you go out in the world like that, say, and research these coalitions and see what they're about and what they do, and however they operate, if it fits you, then you'll know you are best prepared to land that position.
Yep. All right. Great insight, great advice. DJ Dasz, DJ FDS on the BV Mobile Apps podcast. We really appreciate you guys for calling in and for talking to not only just myself, but to the BV Mobile Apps listeners. And for any DJ out of Atlanta that want to get in contact with you or want to learn more information and ask you guys some questions, how can they get in contact with you and where can they follow you?
So you can get in contact with me on
that's DJ Dasz.
Instagram. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna get Instagram on DJ _Dasz. That's DJ SZ. DJ SZ. All right. On Instagram, I am _DJ Dasz on Twitter, Facebook at DJ _Dasz as well. Or Fleet DJs Georgia on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, you can hit me on IG at Fleet DJ FDS. Same for the Gmail, Fleet DJ FDS at Gmail, Fleet DJs Georgia at Gmail if you want to send an email with a mix. But definitely, if you're interested out there and you think you're ready to join a coalition, you want to join the winning team,
yes, sir.
Go ahead to fleetdjs.com, submit your app. It'll come to us. We'll review it. We'll get with you. And if you fit the criteria, we'll go ahead and get you in, and we can, keep growing and expanding what we have out here in Georgia.
And one more thing, man. I know we're running out of time, but, man, look here. Y'all go ahead and download Fleet GA radio app. Yes, we download that thing, man. We trying to change the game. Not just on internet radio or radio period. We're making sure we getting the ATL artists on. ATL artists, if you guys got something you want to submit it to Fleet GA Radio at Gmail. And I also want to thank BV Mobile, man, because you guys have been awesome with anything that we need as far as our app. You know what I'm saying? I can just call up or shoot an email really quick, and you guys get back to me really quickly. So I really appreciate you guys, Sean. I appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to talk to us, man. I really appreciate that as well.
Oh, well, the pleasure. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine, fellas, and we definitely looking forward to seeing more greatness out of both you, DJ Dasz, and you, DJ FDS. So thank you once again for providing this great information, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. It's the BV Mobile Apps podcast with Sean Garvey. Make sure you follow me on all your social media at Sean Garvey. On Facebook, Sean Garvey ATL. On Twitter, Instagram. Today's theme has been resource for DJs in Atlanta. And don't forget to go to bvmobileapps.com and get your app customized today. That's bvmobileapps.com. And send us an email to podcast@bvmobileapps.com, podcast@bvmobileapps.com. Until the next time, take care. Have a great day.
It's a new year. It's a new day. We're starting it over. Starting the day.
Thank you for listening to the BV Mobile Apps podcast with your host, Sean Garvey. For more information about BV Mobile Apps, visit the website, bvmobileapps.com. Don't forget to follow BV Mobile Apps on social media at BV Mobile Apps. Tune in again next time on the BV Mobile Apps podcast.